Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media, and this is hashtag Salam Media Highlights. And we're going to be heading over to the Durban port right now. This is essentially a fact-finding mission on that story that we've been tracking for a few days now. The movement of an Indian cargo ship, the MV Ultramarine, which was suspected of carrying military cargo bound for Israel. The BDS movement and other organizations or pro-Palestine organizations have said that they have credible information that the MV Ultramarine is carrying military supplies from India to Israel. It is reported carrying 15 containers of dangerous cargo for Israel's ongoing genocide against 2.2 million Palestinians in Gaza at the moment. Numerous pro-Palestine organizations have called on the South African authorities to take immediate due diligence action to investigate the vessel, and in case their suspicions are confirmed, to stop the cargo, withdraw any docking permission, and prohibit any servicing thereof. And we have our guests now who are at the current moment in the Durban Harbour. We'll be speaking to Nasiha Soomar. She's the executive member of South Africa's Palestine movement. Nasiha, thank you so much for joining us. You guys are at the Durban Harbour right now. You're at the port. There's been a lot that's been said about whether or not the Ultramarine is carrying weapons, is carrying military supplies that are destined for Israel. What's the latest that you can give us on that front? Is there any truth to this? What's just the latest on the ground?
So, following a formal complaint and a public concern over the allegations that the vessel may be refueling and potentially carrying dangerous goods, including weapons and ammunition destined for Israel, we can now confirm that the ship has been thoroughly inspected by all relevant law enforcement authorities. We wish to thank the SAPS, Port Security, Customs, and other enforcement agencies for fulfilling their duty and acting in accordance with both South African and international law.
Do we have an idea at this point if there was indeed any military supplies headed to Israel?
No. So they've cleared the boat and they have said that there was no military supplies for Israel on board.
Do we have an idea what was part of the cargo in the vessel in itself?
We don't directly have any information on what was on the vessel and what was part of the cargo, but we have received their full confirmation and support that there is no dangerous goods as the tip-off allegedly reported, and that is why it was allowed to dock into the port of Durban.
Mm-hmm. I know it wasn't, necessarily what we thought it was initially when, we found out that the Ultramarine will be docking in the Durban Harbour and will ultimately make its way to Israel. But why was it so important to track it? Why was it so important to continue tracking other vessels that are docking at the Durban Harbour and are said to be making their way to Israel, especially for you people who are on the ground, who are closest to the port, and could have action if indeed there's any kind of military supplies that are making their way to Israel and are docking and refreshing here in South Africa?
So this response that we took and the response that we have received from enforcement agencies reaffirms that civil society has a vital role in raising the alarm, especially where there is a risk of complicity in global human rights violations. And we welcome the lawful and professional handling of this matter. And we will continue to monitor all developments involving cargo that passes through the Durban port. And it was great for us to be able to still be a part of the participation process that we are promised in our democracy. And this was a really good way for us to get ahead and understand the shipping processes. And so we are now even more ready to handle any other ships that may decide to use the Durban port as a refueling station, and we will respond with equal measure.
Mm. I think don't be shy. Target is the right word to use. And I think the actions of the last few the actions of the last few days have sent quite a strong message. I want to talk about your interaction with the authorities, whether it's the South African police services, whether it's the people that are working on the docks, the officials, whether it's SARS or anyone that is a point of reference if an issue like this arises. Were they helpful? Were they willing to engage with you guys? Were they not dismissive of the actions that you guys want to take?
We found full engagement from the South African police services. Our union workers have been amazing. They've helped us, they've advised us along the way. Um, we didn't find any issues. I spoke to port security, I spoke to port control myself, and everyone was quite helpful and quite happy to help when they heard that it was us as the South Africa Palestine movement, and when they heard that the tip off was allegedly that the ship was going to Israel. So we didn't find any issues, and we thank them for that.
Hmm. And is the ship destined for Israel? Is this destination still making its way there?
No, at this moment in time, it's not. It's currently docked in Durban Harbour, and there is no further destination. So whether that will update in the coming days, we will track it still, and we will obviously inform all necessary media,
Hmm.
including yourself.
And just lastly, before I let you go, Nasiha, what would you guys say are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned from this exercise?
I think the biggest lesson that we learned from this exercise is that we need to always be ready to mobilize. We don't
Mm,
know when someone is going to try and use the ports and use South Africa to be complicit in genocide, especially because of our stance at the ICJ. I think we become more of a target for people to use us to say that we are also helping and enabling genocide. So I think as South Africans and I think as civil society, we we learned that we have to constantly be ready to mobilize and take action. And we urge the public of Durban, whoever is listening and is able to join us when we make these calls for mobilizations, we expect you to be there. The Palestine situation is so reminiscent of apartheid, but it's far worse on a far larger scale. And Gaza is being starved and suffocated and erased as we speak. And the duty is upon all South Africans to take a stance.
no, most definitely, Nasir. We're going to be there for now. Really appreciate you giving us your time and giving us insights, I think, on this very, very important story and development that we've been following quite closely.
Thank you so much for having us.
That was Nasiha Soomar, executive member of the South African Palestine movement. Just giving us the latest regarding that vessel, that ship, Ultramarine, that was suspected of carrying arms bound for Israel. I think, yeah, the facts are clear. The facts are out there. Whether or not it was offloaded before it made its way to South Africa because they maybe knew the kind of reception they might receive, it might be a story for another day. But I think it was a really brilliant exercise because, number one, it showed and prepared South African activists and organizations that are pro-Palestine to be always vigilant and aware about the movements that are happening at the port, at the harbor, who's coming in, who's coming out, and dealing with the relevant authorities, asking the right questions. Someone might see this as a wasted exercise, but for me, I see it as a success. I see it as a success because it also sends a strong message. It sends a strong message to Israel, sends a strong message to its allies that South Africa, its resources, our harbors, and our waters will not be used to aid the genocide against the people of Palestine. We've come to the end of today's Salam Media highlight. We'll see you again in the not so distant future. Shap shap.